Welcome to Informatica Cloud. Today we'll be integrating web services in the cloud. We have set up a pretty nice scenario that's very common around basically taking web services that represent an ERP system of accounts and orders and integrating them with accounts in Salesforce. Alright, so let's get right to it. Let me show you guys how the web service here setup works. This is a .NET based web service, and it can be any web service. This is our example that we have. You have different operations that are available. One might be get all accounts, and this test screen I can simply call that web service and get back the answer, right? So it's all based on XML, so it's kind of machine readable. But you can see I have this account Cox Media and Genworth and Honeywell. And so when I do the get all accounts web service, it basically returns back the answer. Right, so I have these different operations. I could do different things with it as well. I have this thing called a WSDL, WSDL, where this describes what the web service can do. So in the WSDL, it has that same stuff like add order and get account orders, which represented in my test screen. All right, so let's go see how Informatica Cloud turns this into something usable that you can quickly make in an Informatica Cloud task. Alright, so let me go ahead and log in and we'll get started. Alright, so what I do here is I simply I have a data synchronization task where I synchronize data, right? So I have different types of purpose-built tasks here. Informatica Cloud's completely self-service. You know, we basically democratized integration. Let me walk through building a data synchronization task. So there's 6 steps to success. The first step is simply giving it a name. ERP get accounts into Salesforce. All right, and you pick what you want to do to the target. So I want to take those accounts from my ERP web service and I want to put them into Salesforce account object. So that's pretty easy to walk through this wizard. My source is where I pick the web service connection that I have, WSERP. And that was pretty easy to set up, right? Basically, I went and I typed in my WSDL that I showed you earlier, and I also typed in the endpoint of where that web service is located at. And that's all I had to do. The rest of these are some advanced features, but basically it's pretty straightforward, the WSDL and the endpoint. So once I do that, I get back all the different operations that web service can do. So this is the same list that I showed you just a minute ago when I showed you the test screen for the web service. We're going to pick get all accounts. Right, and again, this is all reverse engineered, so it's pretty cool that you can pick any web service and it figures out based on the WSDL and the endpoint what those operations are. So we're going to pick get all accounts. Now we're going to go into step 3 where we pick our targets. We want to get all those accounts from the web service and we want to upsert them into Salesforce account. Right, so pretty straightforward stuff, and actually very common. This is what everyone does. Right, so I go on to step 5 where I have my field mapping, and this is where I can do some pretty cool stuff. So for example, I have my billing street. I want to grab that guy and drag him over to billing street. So on the left is my accounts order web service. On the right is my Salesforce account. Right, this is the billing country, so I can drag this guy over. This is the billing postal code. Right, and so on and so forth. So I'm just dragging this data over. That's my ID. Right, there's my name. Let me scroll down a little bit. Match this over to account name. Type, area code. This is kind of cool. So, you know, I have a phone number that's basically, I want to take my area code, right, and then I also want to take my phone number, right, which is right here. And again, it's pretty cool because all this stuff was engineered basically around what that WSDL said. The 2 I have left is the billing city. So let's go back up here. Billing city. And then billing state. Alright, so I've done my first integration here with my web service in Salesforce. So I'm pretty excited, ready to go run it. So let's go ahead and save it. So it's called WSERP get accounts into Salesforce. Let's save this guy and let's run him. WSERP get account into Salesforce. So I just made this one. We're going to run them. and then we'll watch it run. So what's going to happen is it's going to go and it's going to go call that get all accounts from the web service, and it's going to upsert them into Salesforce by that external ID. So pretty straightforward stuff. It's running right now. So we'll give it 2 seconds to finish, and then we'll go into Salesforce and we'll find, remember Cox Media was the first one, right? So there's my 12 records. I'm going to go in. Well, actually, let me update. I already had Cox Media up because I was doing it before, so I sent updates to it. So you can say that I got my address, my phone number. Basically, was just updated a few minutes ago. This is Pacific time versus Central. And that's how you integrate web services with Salesforce. So let me show you some more advanced features. There's actually some pretty cool stuff here since we got a few minutes. Another thing we can do is, for example, getting an account order. Right, so the same thing, I have a task that I built where I want to basically grab those orders from that ERP web service. In this case, it's get account orders, right? My same list, I want to get account orders. I want to put them into a target, so here I'll just kind of put them all into a file so I can make it work. My data filter is something I can set up where I can, based on what the web service query parameters were, in this case it was account ID and it was an input parameter, equals 1, because that's my Cox Media. I set up my filter, I do my field mapping, and I'm good. Right, so the same thing here, I can do get account order, run this guy, and now we've done our second web service call to our ERP web services to get all accounts, and now to get orders for those accounts by setting the filter. Real straightforward, basically democratizing integration. Self-service, we want everyone to be able to use Informatica Cloud and be successful integrating all their systems. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.